Did you know ASBN, America's Small Business Network, is now available on your TV? That's right. ASBN is now streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire Stick, and available for download in the App Store. Scan the QR code to download the ASBN app today. This is The Roadmap with Ted Jenkin.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Roadmap exclusively here on ASBN. I'm your host, Ted Jenkin, and every week we bring you some of the brightest and best CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners who are starting their businesses, they're scaling their businesses, and maybe one day on the roadmap, they'll exit stage left. I'm super excited today to talk about a new concept where renters can actually earn equity. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but I'm joined today by Daniel Dorfman. He is the co-founder of Roots. He runs the organization every single day. Daniel, just tell us, where did this idea come about? Because when I hear renters getting equity, it does sound like an oxymoron. Where did the idea of Roots come about? How did you come up with this?
Well, thanks, Ted, and thanks everybody for having me. Roots kind of really started to blossom in 2020, and it was based on my past experience investing in real estate, managing properties, running a real estate team. And in 2020, the world stopped, right? And
yeah, it did.
We had this opportunity to slow down, take a step back, and to see what the impact we were making was on the world. And to be honest, it wasn't great, right? We were part of that problem of selling houses for probably a little more than they were worth, low rate environment.
Right.
We were creating this wealth gap and increasing it, right? And so what we did, we said, hey, why is it like this? What are the key factors into what is creating this lack of opportunity for the renter, right? That wealth gap. And the reality was we could fix it. We could create a model where everyone was able to participate in the real estate market for as little as $100. And not only that, but we could create a model where the renter, the person who pays the rent, who takes care of the building for all of these landlords across our country, to be able to be part of that success story.
So you always wonder, why is that? Otherwise, why does somebody actually care about their apartment? Or if they're renting a home, why do they actually care about the home? And in this model, though, you actually had to start something complex here called a Regulation A REIT. Is there an easy way to explain this and why you had to go this business model to build Roots?
Yes, the easy way to explain it is there is no easy way to explain it. It's very complicated. Lots of paperwork, lots of idea crafting, and lots of understanding of where we wanted to take the business. Now, would have been easy for us to say, oh yeah, let's still include the renter, but let's just build this for the top 10% of accredited investors in America and keep it moving just like most people do. That wasn't us. Our model is about giving the opportunity for people to participate. And so it took about 12 months of us crafting this with the SEC.
So you actually had to go to the SEC.
We did, yeah. Lots of attorney fees, lots of mental hours spent breaking down what this could mean. And, at the end of the day, it was all worth it. When you see what we're doing today and when you see people who have never owned real estate before getting to participate in this market.
So there's two ways that this model can work, right? One is that the renter actually earns equity by being in this REIT, which they normally wouldn't be able to do. And then anybody that's out there whatsoever, they can actually invest in this REIT even if they're not a renter. Is that what the model is?
That's right. So our platform, and at the time when we started to kind of conceptualize it, Robinhood was huge. Acorns was huge.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is you're picking individual stocks and you got to know the nuances of, the electric battery company out of Japan for you to be successful really in that market of picking your own individual stock. That's great. It's great to give people that ability. What we wanted to say was, all right, let's build that same type of platform, that same type of technology that lets you invest at your time and pace. And let's make it into a portfolio of real estate that really can be successful for long-term wealth.
And the model is the minimum investment for somebody, as I read it, is $100.
That's correct. Yep, $100.
So if you have $100, you could be 20 years old or you could be 60 years old. You can get started in here. Is there a maximum that you can put in this?
That's right. So you can invest on our platform today, investwithroots.com, with $100, or you can go up to $1 million. Everybody is treated the same in terms of the the type of share you get. We don't have preferred shares or anything like that. And this community is growing, and it's growing in a way that is really unique because people investing with us aren't just investing for the returns. They're investing because they're making an impact on the lives of the renters in our buildings.
I always love it when a for-profit model has that intersection of making money and also doing social good, which is kind of what I see in this model. Talk to me about how the renter actually builds equity. How do they do that? So I rent a house from you. My rent is $1,500 a month.
Okay.
What happens from there?
Yeah, so the first thing that happens is from the very first moment you call in, Ted, you're going to be treated a little bit differently. And that is, we're going to tell you up front, hey, Ted, with us, we think a little different. We want you to be a partner in this property, and we want you to actually build wealth while you live here. Usually, as a renter, you'd laugh us off a little bit and be like, all right, yeah, sure.
What's the deal here?
What's the catch? And that takes a little trust to build up.
Do I got to mow the lawn or something like that? How am I going to get equity? Do I got to take out all that kind of stuff?
The litany of questions we get around that are pretty funny and probably for a different day. But the first thing we do is we say, hey, we take that that deposit, that $1,500 that you would have put in some landlord's account to collect dust, and Lord knows if you were going to get it back.
Probably not.
Probably not. Yep. And what we do is we take that and we say, hey, what if you invest that in the REIT? Day one, you're invested. So great. So now you're moving into a property that you own a small percentage of, and you also own a percentage of the entire portfolio. So moving in from day one, you are a partner and an owner in this business, which is a confident switch that we've never seen before from resident to landlord relationship, right? And then what we do is we crafted this unique program called Living It Like You Own It.
That's the slogan, right? Living it like you own it.
Living it like you own it. And that's what we want our residents to do. We want them to live in there, pay their rent on time. And when they pay their rent on time and they do a quick video tour of the property once a quarter, and that's super important for two ways. One, as an owner, I want to see what's going on with the property, right? If there's a small leak under a cabinet today, that's $50 to fix. If we let it go until they move out 3 years from now, complete cabinet redo, mold, all the things.
Or you get a flood, you could wreck your whole building.
Exactly. So that's what we're teaching, right? Is not just for us as the asset owners. Yeah, that's fantastic. We're getting eyes on the place, right? But it's awesome to watch someone who's never owned a property, doesn't know what to look for, right? People aren't not reporting things because they don't necessarily don't care. They don't report things because if it's not bothering them in their day-to-day, then why would they, right?
Right.
And so our program, Living It Like You Own It, you pay rent on time, you do your video, and each quarter we're going to actually drop another $150 into your investment account for you.
So you have to do nothing except those things. Pay on time, basically be a nice person, treat your neighbors nice, and then take that video every quarter of the inside and outside of the property, and you basically get $150 a quarter for free.
That's right. So at the end of the year, Ted, your $1,500 investment without any growth of the fund, you just paid your rent on time, you did your 4 videos. Now we're at $2,100 just off of doing what you would have done anyway.
I think that's big for people because a lot of renters, they're not generally the ones making $100,000. It's a lot of people making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 who are faced with day-to-day emergencies, right? Credit card bills, I'm behind on my regular electricity or other bills or whatever it may be, auto loan debt and now student loan debt. That's why this is big right now for people.
It's huge. 70% of our country today doesn't have $1,000 saved in the bank. That's a problem, right? That leads to what you're talking about, right? If you have an emergency and you don't have $1,000 saved, where do you turn? You turn to the credit card. You turn to leveraging debt to put on, your personal
So help me understand this. As I dig into this model and you thought about building this business and growing this business substantially, the real estate investment itself has no fees, which is, or almost nothing is my understanding. And that's unheard of in the real estate business when you invest with a broker or you're basically buying investments online. What's the model for making money in this business? How do you make money? I realize you're doing great things for renters, but how do you make money as a company?
Yeah, so as a company, we believe that in the power of people, in the power of masses. So through our technology today, we're having hundreds of people sign up to be a part of this platform. And we're having 50 to 60 investors invest off the street today through different outlets and different social media campaigns and things we're running. And so at the end of the day, we don't see this as, hey, let's squeeze every dollar out of our real estate investors. What we see is, hey, let's build a community where we can start to offer different services and offer these types of investment portfolios and products to them. And yeah, we can make a little bit off each transaction. And we believe we can, over time, create this world where we are making a significant amount of money, but we're also making a significant amount of impact on each person who's involved.
So what's behind, because this sounds like sort of a bifurcated company, right? It's part real estate and it's part technology. What's behind the technology? What's the special sauce or the secret sauce of what you're building inside of your company with the technology?
Yeah, so the technology is fantastic. We have an amazing team of engineers who have helped us build it. Everything we've built is our own, and we are able to cultivate these different touch points throughout the process from member to investor. And the other really unique thing that we've been able to craft is this landlord product. So there are 66 million renting homes in the United States. We think that every one of those 66 million people deserves the right to build wealth. And we've actually crafted a product so that landlord in Tennessee, landlord in Texas can actually deploy that product across their portfolios and give their residents the opportunity to build wealth.
So you've got an apartment building that could be in any city in America, and it might have 100 units in it. Today, those renters get nothing. Security deposit goes down, maybe or maybe not, they'll get it back, but they could rent for 1 year or rent for 5 years, they get no money. You're going to those landlords and say, hey, use our technology, layer it onto what you're doing now, and your renters can start to build equity. Why does a landlord even care about that? Why would it be in there? Because wouldn't they be giving away money, like not getting all of the rent?
Yeah, so what we found, and the reason that we developed this side of the business, is after 2 years of operating our Living It Like You Own It program at our properties, we have seen incredible financial savings.
Wow.
Just direct to the P&L has been increased, basically. And you're seeing it in less vacancy. People who are building wealth while they rent don't want to leave. That's for sure. They want to renew. Right. They want to continue to build wealth. They want to refer their friends to come live in your buildings to be able to build wealth. That's step one. Two is when they do move out, they've built up an incredible amount over time, and they want to keep it. So it's in their best interest and the landlord's best interest for them to move out as quickly as possible, as clean of a unit as possible, with little to, as few costs as possible. And we've cut our turn cost, the cost it takes to revamp a unit after someone leaves, by 2/3.
Wow. So in general, it could take a landlord of an apartment building 25 days to basically turn an apartment. You might be able to cut that down to 8 or 10 days by using the software and the process that you built at Roots. That's what will happen?
That's correct. Yep.
And I guess anecdotally, there might not be enough data yet, but a lot of those apartment buildings, they may just look better because now the renter has an incentive, right? Not only for their own unit, but the community of saying, hey, don't leave that beer can in the hallway. Don't scratch up the walls because we're costing each other money. Is that the genius behind the software?
That's right. So it creates this aligned interest between both the parties of the resident and the landlord that's never been there before.
Right.
And on top of that, one of the biggest problems in this entire industry is turnover for your property managers. It's not an easy job. It's almost like meter maid, right? You're constantly
Complaints
going
101.
Right. You're going and asking for money, or you're telling them they did something wrong, and that is a tough job. Imagine flipping the script where every person they got to approach, you are an advocate for their wealth building journey. That's a different world, right? The relationship we have with our residents is different than any other, and is showing in our P&L.
How do you, in the model today, because obviously, real estate's been tough. New homes hit all-time highs in general prices, $400,000. And obviously, if you're trying to keep rents lower for people to make it affordable, you've got to find lower priced homes. What's your secret sauce for finding these homes, and how will you find them in the future?
Yeah, so quite frankly, we got lucky. Right?
Sometimes it's good in business. Sometimes it's good.
Sometimes timing is everything. And, we started in 2020. We bought a few houses in 21, but really 80% of our portfolio and the houses we're buying today have been in a high rate environment where people who are selling in this world right now need to sell. And we've been able to capture in all cash purchases, very, large to small portfolios from these companies and from tired landlords. And we've been buying them on average at about 9% under appraised value at time of purchase at the fund.
So what has the fund done return-wise?
Yeah, so over the last 2 years, we've had an annualized return of over 18%.
18% per annum. That's not the lifetime since somebody put in their investment. 18% a year. Can't get that in the stock market.
No, not
unless you get lucky.
Yeah, exactly. You had to pick that battery company well, right?
And this is because you're fully occupied, the renters are fully engaged, and you'll also be able to find properties that we know will appraise at a higher value and likely you think to grow in value. That's the model of making the money in the REIT.
Absolutely. Yeah. The model is stay disciplined. Don't, chase different deals that don't fit what you want to do. We have a very specific renter that we like. We like workforce housing, 60 to 80K household income, hardworking individuals. And we want to stay rent-wise between $1,400 and $1,800.
If this model works at scale, what are you hopeful for in terms of social change, the non-business side? What do you hope happens in America?
I hope that every renter is able to walk around with a little bit more confidence than they had before. Does that mean they go and buy their own house?
Right.
Maybe not. But the idea of sitting in a building, paying someone else's mortgage while everything you read on the news is that building is skyrocketing
praising in value
is tough, right? That is a tough seat to be in, and we hope to improve that upward mobility opportunity for every resident.
Because the truth is, growing up as a kid, going to high school, a lot of people paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a college education. I don't know if there's ever a course where somebody teaches you how to own a property. Even sometimes people's moms and dads, if you have them, they don't teach you either. This really does give a way to teach people how you own a property, right? It's like a primer or a prep. That is part of this model, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. Again, it's, if you've never owned a property, how do you know it even to look for? How do you know to look for the overflowing gutters?
I hide from the dead mice. I hide from them. I don't look for them.
Right, they call me.
But you don't, right? You don't know how to spot mold until it's too late. Sometimes you don't know how to spot water until you have a big leak. And so do you have training courses in here inside of Roots that you're teaching people who either may want to be in the program or may want to be renters or renting already to help get them educated? It's almost like real estate literacy.
Yes. So we have a lot of future plans around how we can help really bring this educational component to our platform. Today, though, we still are really focused on, hey, what does it mean to live in it like you own it? Which means that you're going to be prepared when you leave one of our buildings. You're going to know, to your point, that's mold. I got to get that checked out. You're going to know, hey, that's a little settling crack. We should get that checked out. And these little preventative maintenance things on homes are what keep you in the game, right? If any homeowner knows it, you find these little things and you fix them, it's going to create a better asset. If you leave them, it gets tough.
I'm always curious to ask every entrepreneur, and this may not be part of your plans, but how could you exit this business one day? Let's say you do build this. You're dealing with tons of property owners or managers across America. There's 1 million people that are basically earning equity. How do you sell this thing?
Ted, that's a great question. At this point, we have no aspirations of selling it necessarily.
Right.
But when we do, we'll definitely have to circle up on the best way.
Well, I thank you so much, not only for what you're doing here in Atlanta, but what you're doing across the country, helping tons of renters, hopefully millions eventually in America, be able to solve their problems of living paycheck to paycheck. I think it's a very noble cause. I'll tell you folks, what's excited about the roadmap every week is that if you want to create a great business, think about a problem and find the solution. And that's what Daniel Dorfman did with Invest with Roots and what Roots is doing in helping renters across America. Thanks so much for tuning into the show this week. We'll see you next week right here on the Roadmap.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Ted Jenkin.